I want to preface this video by saying that this video might be hard for some people to watch. It might be triggering for some people. It's a tough subject, and it's something that I wanted to talk about for a while. I've touched on the subject, but I've never really talked about it in depth. So today I wanted to tell you about my mum. My mum and dad split up when I was 2. She left home, went to live with her mum, my nan, and she lived there for years. I used to go visit every weekend, and we used to talk about boys, things, shoes, clothes, anything that you could think of. We used to gossip about everything. She was my best friend. We were inseparable. We were very, very close. She finally got the chance to move somewhere in 2009. She got the opportunity to get her own flat, and that was something that was huge for her. It was something that was incredible. This opportunity to live on her own and have her own independence was something that she hadn't had for all these years, and she finally got the place. And this was when I was in college in about 2009. I was on my last year. I was just doing my final kind of exams, you know, the final stuff before finishing college. And my dad comes to me and says, "Hey, your mum's in hospital. She's got a stomach ulcer." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I hope she gets better. I'll go and see her." And we went to visit her. I didn't obviously expect anything out of the ordinary, but she was on the cancer ward, and I don't know why at the time, but I must have blanked it. I just didn't see it. I went to visit her a couple of times, and every time that I went to see her, she'd be upset, and I didn't know why. I couldn't place why. Maybe I did know subconsciously and I just blanked it. But I remember I was staying with my nan, and we had to go down to the hospital, which was about an hour walk into town and everything else, to be able to go down to the hospital. And we got there, I was tired out, I had my PSP with me, I was playing GTA Vice City Stories. That's what I can remember it right now. I can remember what I was even doing. I was flying a helicopter over one of my clubhouses in Vice City Stories. And my mum says, "Hey, James," at the time, "stop, you know, I need to talk to you." And I sat next to her, and she held my hand, and she started crying. Then she said, "I'm dying. I have cancer." Hearing that is the hardest thing I think I've ever had to deal with. It was like my whole world it was like a balloon. Someone had burst it with a pin, and everything just went dark. And I remember just sitting next to her bed with my head on her lap, just crying. And of course at this point I was angry, because no one had told me. Everyone had known. Because I remember that my stepmom, when my dad said about going up to see her, my stepmom burst into tears and said, I'm sorry, and left. And I didn't understand why she did that, and this was probably the time before I went up there. My mum was always very active. She was always very... she was a great person. She was always very part of the community. She used to have so many friends. And people used to come see her at the hospital. So many people. And I watched her deteriorate. Basically, they could have cured her. They could have put a bag in her stomach that could have cured it. But the doctor told her that it was just IBS and her stomach problems. They just said, "Oh, that's just irritable bowel." If they had done a check a couple of months earlier, they might have been able to find it, because the doctor who did find it was so upset with whoever had basically sent her to her death. This is April of 2009. She goes to Dorothy House, which is a like a final stop, I suppose, care home. And she deteriorated a lot, and I went to see her multiple times, and the last time I saw her, I knew that it would be the last time I saw her, and I just said, I'll see you around. It sounds incredibly cliche, but there was something in my brain that just knew. I knew I wouldn't see her again. And I think she knew. I remember I used to sit next to her, and I used to squeeze her hand to make sure that she was still alive. Because it was tough. And July 90, I blank the date. I have to look it up. I blank it. I get asked. I have to remember when the anniversary is. And I can't remember. It's like my mind's just blanked that whole area. I did look it up. It's July 19th. She passed away. And I was sat in my room, I was playing Red Faction Guerrilla, and my dad comes up and he just sits down in my room and just says, she's gone. And I didn't get emotional. I just kept playing my game. And I haven't... It's weird, I didn't get emotional at all, it just didn't hit me. I knew, but in my brain, nothing clicked that made me cry. It's like it was turned off. There wasn't the option there. And it wasn't for a couple of days until I broke down. And I don't think I've properly mourned her. A lot of people get counselling, and I didn't, and I should. It's probably caused a lot of my issues. Now to the main point, coping with it. I'm going to say it now, and I'm going to be blunt, and I'm going to be honest with you, you can't. For a while. Don't expect to be able to just go on with your life immediately. Because you won't be able to, and I don't want to put false hopes in the people that are watching this, because it would just be wrong. Losing a parent, whatever age you are, I was 18 when my mum passed. Any age, it's going to be hard. I think it would obviously be harder, maybe even more, if you're older and you've of course known them longer. I didn't have much time with my mum, comparatively to a lot of other people. And for me, it was the most devastating thing in the world, and I can't imagine what it would be like for someone who's older. It's like a part of me is missing. It's like I want to call her. I used to ring her phone and listen to her voicemail, because she'd recorded a voicemail. And it was the small little things like that that just... It helped, I suppose. I don't have much of my mum in videos, and I've shown you all of the video I have of her over the last couple of years. And I probably dotted some in and out of this video. It's like just part of you's missing. And I can't wish that on anyone. But at the end of the day, it's going to happen to all of us. And the thing that scares me most is when my dad goes. I think that... I can't even imagine it. I don't even want to think about it. Go see someone. Talk to someone about it. Go and interact with your friends or colleagues. Doesn't matter. I didn't have anyone to talk to when she died. My dad was pretty quiet on the whole thing, because he was affected pretty badly, but he didn't show it. he's one of these types that would just kind of go on with life and not show his emotions. So I couldn't really talk to him about it. And it's kind of just sat with me all this time. And I think that I've been able to express my views on my mum through my videos that I've done with her on them. I never told her that I was trans. She died before I fully understood and was sure of what I wanted to do. So she never knew. And it was right at the start of when I was starting to do YouTube videos for Jamie Gray. That, because I remember I showed her one of my first videos and was like, look what I did with Aaron. It was this amazing video we did on the, I think, Wanted, the video game. And she loved it. She was like, oh wow, it looks amazing. If she was still alive, she would be in all my fucking videos. She would have loved it. She loved the attention. If anyone has lost a parent and is watching this, I understand. And if anyone has lost a parent and wants to put their thoughts down below, comment down below, and maybe help others that maybe are going through the same thing. But I can't express enough that losing my mum was the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with. And now you know the main reason, what happened. I've never really fully talked about it in depth. I think I've commented a couple of times what happened, but I've never made a full video just telling you what the scenario was and what happened. My mum was my best friend, and she shaped the person that I am today. My confidence and spice of life and just happiness is from her. And she was an amazing, beautiful person who I truly, truly miss.
Right, turn it off then. Turn the switch off. James. Turn the red switch off.